songs from the 60s or 70s, a lot of times, and believe me, I turn this off when I take my daughter and the 3 girls that go to school every morning. I flip channels. We end up on sports radio talk. But, but a lot of times you, and I'm not saying it's good for kids, but a lot of times you like the beat or the feel you get when you're listening to just the music. You're not even hearing the words. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying I think everybody would agree. Like, there's just certain, and then you're right. If you do stop and listen to the words, you're like, oh my God. But I think, would you not agree that, as you were saying earlier, that's held true, but it's now more mainstream right now versus,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you just like music because of the beat or the feel. Yep. You're not really listening to the words. It's not something I want to print them out and hand them to my daughter at all.
Right.
But I think some people just listen to it for the beat.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice beat.
Yeah.
That's a happy beat. You know, it's got that.
But it's still very subliminal.
It could be, because if it's just because they've got their buds in or their headphones, and they're doing their thing. They're just doing their thing, whatever it might be. We have this policy. I'm hoping. Well, I've said this at Fordham Prep, so this is not a secret. We allow the boys to listen to their iPod in the building. Now maybe do that here, so maybe it's not a big deal. They could do it in the commons, the cafeteria, and they could use it in the library. They can use their iPods in the library. Do they do that? You can do that here? Oh, all right. So while they're doing their thing, they're sitting here studying. They've got their things on, and this is what they're listening to. Well, not this, but I'll show you. I'll share with you.
You tell me what they're concentrating on.
I'm sorry?
You tell me what they're thinking about.
Well, then it becomes subliminal because they're not aware. So they're doing their business, but they're hearing violence. They're hearing words of sex, conformity. It's really not what we would hope. But this is part of the thing.
Like we talked about some of the earlier songs, the disco songs, like he's putting together like a lot of sports teams have warm-up CDs before games and having to listen to those because they're going to be played over the loudspeaker for little kids, everybody, parents. Immediately, if it's like a hip-hop or rap song, the immediate idea from the families is that it's going to be a bad one. Whereas a lot of those songs, kids have AC/DC songs in there too, and those lyrics sometimes are much worse than the rap.
Yeah.
But it's the idea that rap is bad, and sometimes the warm-up CDs can get away with AC/DC songs referencing drugs and violence and stuff. But
Yeah.
obviously not that Rihanna song would be a good one to have.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think that the songs, certainly when most of us were growing up, you'd have to look at it and go, oh, is that what that is? Right. So I don't know AC/DC music. I know the group. I've seen the shirts, but I've not listened to the music. So I'll have to yield to your understanding. But is it blatant? If I heard the lyrics, will I know they're talking about drugs?
If you knew exactly. Like if you knew what their references were
Right.
about. You'd say,
All right.
oh my God.
So it's a little bit more subtle. It's poetic. There's no subtlety here, and it's right out there. It's in your face, and there's nothing subtle about what they're talking about. So there is a little bit of a difference, I think. You wanted to say something?
No, we listen to music all the time on Pandora, and I typed in instrumental hip hop, and it's a great station. There's no words, and it's by all these mainstream artists. And they go, "Mr. Owens, have you heard this song?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is a great beat." And he goes, "No, but have you listened to this song?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't. Do I need to?" There's no words. I'm hearing great music, and they go, "Oh, you should check out the real song." And they laugh at me, and I'm going, "Oh, maybe this isn't a good idea." But you're right about the beat. They love just the rhythm and the beats, great. But the words,
The words are problematic.
But you look at these videos too, and the purposeful manipulation of what are really preteens, because they're setting cartoon fantasy worlds that adolescents are going to go, oh, look at all the pretty colors and all the dancing zebras and the toy train. But
Right.
you laugh about
Yes,
it, but
right.
I can tell you right now, the people who are producing it are aiming it at those adolescent kids.
Yeah.
And the adolescent kids might not get it, but their idols are up there proclaiming it as gospel.
Right. And they want it, like pornography, they want to get you hooked early.
Well, that's when the mind's being formed. So
Yeah.
I've been in entertainment most of my adult life, and I have ferried around childhood stars who are now long past their prime, who are doing things to make money. And, the Michael Nesmiths and the Davy Joneses will tell you that, they are still being propositioned by the girls who were watching their shows when they were 8, 9, 10 years old. That's their fan base.
Yeah.
But on a daily basis, they get women who are coming, and I've been there, who are coming up to them and saying, hey, you wanna meet me up in my hotel room? I remember watching you when I was 10 years old. Going, that's how they get hooked.
Yeah. That is, we're way past, I think, where we should be, right, in terms of time.
Who cares?
But I think that is what our culture is kind of focusing towards. We'll get to Jersey Shore shortly. That is what our culture seems to be about. Yes, go ahead.
We have a song list in my class similar to what Tate has. And one of the things, even though they talk about it being subliminal, the students know. One of the lines I use all the time is, remember, I'm old enough to be your mom. If you wouldn't play this for your mom, don't play it for me.
Yeah.
And every now and then someone just thinks it's so funny to try to shock me. So they do, even though they say they're listening to the beat and they don't listen to the words, they are getting the message of the songs. And I try my best on most occasions to point it out to them that, are you sure that you really want to put this into your spirit? Kid Cudi is huge, and he's a pothead. Every song that he talks about is the lonely stoner, lighten up or whatever. So like the song list gets smaller and smaller what they're allowed to play, and I let them write down whatever, and we kind of edit it. But it's not subliminal. It's not sneaky. When I grew up, White Lines.
Oh yeah.
The
It's
rap
about
song.
cocaine.
Yeah, it's about cocaine. I mean, it's called White Lines, but every person that would sing it knew that he was talking about freebasing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he also talk about not doing it?
Yeah, because that song, he's talking about what happens. Yeah.
Well, he talks about, but still it's a song.
But everyone just knew the
Yeah, free
white
base
lines.
was
They
the
knew that.
refrain. Yeah.
But he does talk in the song. He does talk about the dangers of using freebasing, using cocaine and stuff. Yeah. This other song. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, I play music in my class. I've got, about 8,000 songs. But you play somebody like Leonard Skinner, the Beatles, they love it. They love it.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys are, hey, Dad he's got a record player up in the attic and a bunch of records, and they get them out and they start playing. So not all of them are listening to this stuff. But would you know anything about the Grateful Dead? And I didn't have you in class. They're not all listening to this stuff.
Yeah.
They're turned on by a lot of the old music when it was unique.
Yeah, they're not just listening to this. Mike surveyed his guys and got a list of some of the music that they listen to. They just, what are the 5 most favorite or so things on your iPod that you listen to the most? And I have a list of those. And I asked my students the same question. What do you listen to? And there were a number of songs, many songs, artists that they have in common. But some of them have some of the music that you spoke of. Very, very eclectic mix of music, but there is a core soundtrack that these kids are listening to. And there are exceptions, of course. There are some kids who can't stand rap, who don't listen to any of this stuff. But the point is that when most of us were growing up, the references to sex or drugs or violence was mostly subtle, I suspect.
Yeah.
The music was parochial, sort of. There were some popular bands that made it into the mainstream, were very popular, made a lot of money. But today, I think, based on what they're telling us, based on what Mike and I shared, based on what we're hearing from kids, there a lot of kids are listening to the same stuff, which is overtly violent, which is overtly sexual and misogynistic. So that becomes a little bit problematic.
What do you want us to think about during the break?
The break that we're taking right now, think about this, because we should have ended like 40 minutes ago. We should be into the second part. But before we break, just think about this, and then we'll talk about the landscape. What is watching all of this stuff, listening to what they listen to, what impact has it had, does it have on your boys? I'm going to take some stuff from this book called Guyland. This is really for pre-adults. It's like this it's pre-adult and adolescent, so it's in between there. So when we come back after the break, we'll look a little bit at this, and then we'll talk a little bit about the class and how I try to do it. So think about this. 5 minutes. This way you can refresh yourselves, re-energize, and then we'll come back to you.